Mishnah Yomi continues for Erev Shabbat Korach. We are in chapter 7 of Gittin, Mishnah Tet, the ninth Mishnah. Yesterday we learned about a husband making the effectiveness of a get conditional on his return from abroad within a certain time. Now, what about this case? He says, Im lo bati mikan v'shnemasar chodesh, if I don't come back within 12 months, maybe he's going somewhere on an extended business trip and he thinks he might settle there. He might actually permanently move there and never return to his original wife. Kitvu tznu get leishti, write and then deliver a get to my wife. Now, he's not talking to the wife. He's talking to two other men and empowering them as his agents to write and deliver the get if he does not indeed return. So the Mishnah explains, Kotvu get betoch shnemasar chodesh. What if they wrote the get after 11 months? V'natnu la'achar shnemasar chodesh. But they didn't actually deliver the get until after 12 months. Eino get. This is not actually a valid legal document of divorce. They did not follow his instructions. Now, a related case with slightly different wording, the husband says, Kitvu utznu, write and deliver, get leishti, the get to my wife, im lo bati, if I don't come back, mikon shnemasar chodesh, from now until within 12 months. So now he's putting the condition at the end after the action that he wants to take place. Again, Kotvu b'toch shnemasar chodesh, these two agents, they wrote the get within the 12-month time, natanu la'achar shnemasar chodesh, and then when they saw he didn't come back, they gave it to her after the 12 months were up, eino get. It's still not a get. Now, even though he put this kitvu tznu first, he meant everything to be on condition. On condition he's not back in 12 months, only then are the agents allowed to write. Rabbi Yossi Omer Kazay Rabbi Yossi disagrees. He says it's a valid get, because if the condition's at the end, then we assume the husband meant the condition only on the last action, the action right next to the condition, the giving of the gets. They were allowed to write it legally before the time was up, but they couldn't give it at all until the time was up. Finally, the Mishnah brings a related case. Kotvu la'achar shnemasar chodesh. They wrote the get as instructed after 12 months, after the husband did not return. But not new la'achar shnemasar chodesh. And of course, then they gave it after that. V'met. And then the husband passed away without ever coming back. But now we have a problem, because if the husband actually died before they wrote and gave her the get, she's actually a widow, not a divorcee. So the Mishnah explains, im get kodem lemita, if the get was given to her before he passed away, hare ze get. It's a valid get. There's no yibum, no chalitza. Im mita kodem leget, if he had in fact passed away before the date the get was given, eino get. There's no get after death. Eino get al chamisa. Im ein yadua, if we're not sure. For instance, he passed away in Timbuktu, and they sent a messenger, and they said, oh yeah, he died last April, but they don't know when in April, and they also gave the get in the middle of April, so now we're just not sure what happened first. Zohi Amru, this is the case where our sages said, Migareshet ve'eno Migareshet. She's divorced and not divorced, meaning there's a suffix if the divorce was actually valid. So if there's a surviving brother and no children, she needs a chalitza because of the suffix, that she might be linked to the surviving brother, but she cannot marry him in Yibum. Now let's go on to chapter 8. This is really riveting. Mishnah of Hazurik get liishto. A guy is throwing the get to his wife. V'ibatoch beita. And she is in her house, o betoch chatzera, or in her courtyard. Harezo migareshet. She is validly divorced. Now the Gemara explains, this is even where the get just lands in the house. He throws it through the window, or he throws it into the yard. It's a yard with a fence. So once it gets in there, she's divorced, even though it's not in her hand, because her property is an extension of her hand. And the other amazing aspect about this is we understand that during a marriage, we learn in Ketuvot, the property of the wife, Jewish women could always own property, even though other cultures and religions thought women were property, but Jewish women could own property. Though during the marriage, the property is allowed to be used by the husband. It's nichse mulug. So he has the right to use this yard or this house, even though the wife has title and actually owns it. So even though the husband has some property rights during the marriage, since he's throwing the get into this property, he's ending the marriage, ending her property rights. And the Gemara explains, Gita v'yada bayin ke'echad. It's as if she has full unencumbered rights to this property the moment the get is in the property, so the property can acquire the get for her if he throws it through the window or into the yard. Now the Mishnah contrasts this with the next case, Zorka lo betoch beito. He throws it to her in his own house, o betoch chatzero, or in his own yard or property. Afilu hi ima b'mita, even if she's lying there in a bed in the house, eino megareshet. She's not divorced. It's his house. It would have to get actually to her physical hands, not just into that property, because it's not her property. However, letoch cheka, he throws it right into her lap. It mamish, it lands in her lap. Or letoch kolta, or into her sewing basket, like she's got a big purse or a big basket that she has her personal stuff in. Hare zo migreshet. She is validly divorced, even if she is sitting in his house or she and her basket are in his yard, because the Gemara explains a guy's not makpid about someone else's personal space. So legally, her lap, her basket, her purse, her suitcase, these, as long as they're with her, these are her personal space. So a get thrown into these items is a valid acquisition by her of the get, and she's validly divorced. Tizkul mitzvahs, good Shabbos.